The story kicks off with our main character on a long journey. After defeating countless monsters, he finally arrives at the Ice Queen's castle. He keeps calling her a witch and even laughs, declaring that he's going to end this war today. She doesn't seem to take him seriously at all, which makes sense since no one has managed to breach her castle in the last 1,000 years. Without missing a beat, she attacks with her ice magic. All that power blasts straight toward Kaido, but he manages to dodge every single strike. The battle is intense and incredibly brutal. The Ice Queen tells him there's no escape and unleashes her frozen souls, but Kaido is already closing the distance, so they both unleash their absolute most powerful attacks. Their energies violently clash, and laughter echoes through the air. The Queen boasts that she can send him straight to hell, but our MC isn't going down that easily. Even running on fumes, he refuses to give up. Kaido insists he won't let things end like this, and starts tapping into his hidden power. He's radiating an insane, almost Naruto-level aura. Even the 1,000-year-old queen is caught off guard by this sheer power. Cursing her as a witch, he charges in for the final strike. She admits she's never faced an opponent who could actually match her, and the MC just tells her to say her last words. She throws up an ice construct to defend herself, but since Kaido is operating at his absolute peak, her shield just isn't enough. He strikes her with a devastating attack like a descending divine beast. The blast punches a hole right through the queen's chest. Boasting, he declares that he has now conquered the 4 realms and, by finishing her off, he will unite the entire land. But instead of dying quietly, she just laughs and starts freezing his arm. Kaido is completely shocked that she's still alive. He can't pull his arm free, and suddenly realizes this might be the end for him too. They start plummeting from the top of the tower. The queen's final thought is that she's not going down alone. Laughing, she claims she has defeated him. And just like that, they both fall from the Crystal Palace. After 1,000 years of cultivation alongside his generals, he had almost united the entire world. Martial arts had been Kaido's entire life, but right then, he hears a sound, like the deep rumbling of the ocean floor. Strangely enough, the space he's in feels warm and incredibly cozy. Then it hits him. He has been reincarnated into the body of a baby, alongside a twin sister. He didn't have any siblings in his past life because the poor guy had been abandoned. He was basically cursed with bad luck right from birth, living as an orphan who got dragged into the dark faction of the martial arts sect. But against all odds, he managed to grow strong there and become the ultimate cultivator. Now, though, his family situation is completely different, and he actually thinks that's pretty awesome. He likes the idea of having a sibling. And so, he is born and given the name Kaido, the exact same name he had in his past life. But the weirdest part? He starts feeling a very familiar, bone-chilling cold. Even though he's just a newborn, he can see his mother holding his twin sister. And the second he locks eyes with that baby girl, he realizes his sister is actually the Ice Queen. No way. That's impossible, he thinks. That ice witch. She seriously followed me all the way to this next world. I'm definitely going to get my revenge on her. The baby girl also realizes right away that her brother is Kaido from the Dark Martial sect. And so, these 2 tiny babies silently vow to finish the fight that their deaths had interrupted. Hey guys, the story here is incredibly good. I'm absolutely sure you're going to love it. The channel is still dealing with some content compliance issues, so please help out by liking and commenting on the video. If you want to become a member, it would help the channel out a ton. Members get to watch videos early and ad-free. Thank you to everyone who's been commenting and showing support. Now, let's get right back into the story. In his past life, Kaido had gathered several formidable martial generals, like Bladem. He had formed an alliance with a supreme cultivator, partnered up with a poison arts prodigy, and finally made a pact with the king of the mountain. These were his 4 great generals who helped him storm the ice castle. But now, he had reincarnated into the body of an adorable little baby. Kaido keeps internally complaining that this is the biggest humiliation of his life. His mom walks in, completely doting on him, asking if he slept well, and surprisingly, he feels a deep sense of affection for her. It's honestly hard for him to explain. While getting his diaper changed, the tiny infant grumbles that this body is completely useless since he can't even control when he poops. And the worst part? Kaido is furious that he is forced to stare at his mortal enemy 24/7. He glares at her, paranoid that the Ice Witch might still be able to use her magic. 3 months have already passed since their rebirth. During that time, he has been secretly continuing his cultivation training. He figured that the moment he got an opening, he would take his revenge on the ice witch. However, his concentration keeps getting broken every single night because the baby girl starts crying, bringing their parents rushing in to comfort them. He quickly realizes this is her master plan to sabotage his training. This tiny baby would literally make the most serious, adult-looking face. Just you wait, girl. When we grow up, I'm getting my revenge. You better believe I'm never giving up. Because of this rivalry, he doesn't just practice cultivation, he trains his martial arts too. The literal infant is out there doing push-ups and squats, and you probably don't even do that. The kid is even doing handstands. Meanwhile, Nina just constantly sighs, thinking he looks like an absolute idiot. Fast forward 4 years. Their mom is walking a friend out to the front gate, leaving the perfect opportunity. So, Kaido marches up to Nina and asks how long she plans on running from him. The cute little girl just glances back at him as Kaido complains that they never get time to settle the score because their parents are always hovering around. Nina flat out asks if he's forgotten that he's literally a 4-year-old and tells him to grow up. Yes, my boy, you are exactly 4 years old. Nana also mentions that he needs to remember something he lost to her in their past battle, but our MC just laughs it off and finally lunges at his sister to attack. However, she completely decks him with a toy. She throws it at him and darts backward. Kaido tries to throw a kick, but Nena uses her magic to literally levitate in the air. She had reincarnated with a massive chunk of her magic power intact, whereas Kaido's physical body was a huge limitation since his skills relied entirely on martial arts. Taking advantage of this, she rains a barrage of toys down on him. Just like that, Kaido suffers a totally humiliating defeat. Nena casually points out that he never stood a chance. She says he's free to keep training and try to beat her in the future, but he has to promise never to drag their parents into this or hurt them, because they don't deserve it. A life-or-death duel between them is off the table now, because they are family. And Nena explicitly says she doesn't want to cause their parents any pain. Kaido acts tough, claiming he doesn't care. But it's obvious that Nena is taking this whole new life thing very seriously. Turning away, she tells him that their past lives don't matter anymore, and from now on he needs to call her Big Sister. I am never calling you Big Sister, Kaido grumbles. The scene shifts a bit later to his room. He's brooding over his humiliating defeat. Kaido remembers how much he tormented her in their past life. The Ice Queen never gave him a moment's peace back then, and now he is so weak that the witch is basically ignoring his existence. We then see that Nena is also deep in thought. In a flashback to her past, a village is engulfed in flames. Nina admits that she had eliminated a lot of people to get where she was. Looking at a red-haired woman in her memory, she confesses that she ended up killing the one person she never wanted to hurt, the most precious person in her life. She was having a nightmare. She wakes up in the middle of the night, telling herself that she needs to forget everything. She now has parents who truly care about her, and she refuses to ever lose her family again. Meanwhile, Kaido is busy training. He refuses to be humiliated by the witch ever again. If he lost, he'd never forgive himself. He calculates that it will take him at least 10 years to reach the queen's current power level. Until then, he has to play the part of a normal kid. To master his divine martial arts, he needs to learn the 18 forms. In his past life, he spent almost 60 years completing this cycle and even achieved immortality. Just a heads up, guys, immortality here just means he doesn't age, because obviously, he still died in battle. Every night, he meditates to expand the energy in his meridians. Slowly but surely, he is managing to temper his frail little body. Soon, he'll be able to open all his energy pressure points. For some reason, he mentions that infants breathe through their heads. Training to focus his cultivation points in his head right from childhood proved to be incredibly helpful. By doing this, he started gathering even more energy. Early the next morning, his mom yelled at him not to be late for the daycare center. Nina was super excited, flashing an adorable smile right next to the teacher. His mom yelled at Kaido to hurry up, but our boy was feeling rebellious, even grumbling that he had absolutely nothing to learn at a place like that. Embarrassed, his mom apologized to the teacher, making the excuse that Kaido had been on his best behavior yesterday. The teacher just laughed it off, saying the little guy expressed himself way better than the other toddlers. Right then, Nina used telepathy to warn him to just act normal. With that, our MC finally gave in, and they hopped onto the cat-shaped bus to daycare. To Kaido, the whole thing was incredibly humiliating. Just then, a little girl tapped him on the shoulder. She asked how old he was and if he wanted to be friends. He flat out replied that introducing oneself first is basic manners, adding that he was 96 years old and had absolutely zero interest in making friends. This made the girl burst into tears. During his daycare classes, he didn't want to socialize with anyone. He only cared about one thing: continuing his cultivation and martial arts training. Ever since childhood, he had been pushing his body to its absolute limits. As time went on, their family welcomed a new baby sister. Nina got super emotional, gushing about how cute their little sister Lara was. Judging by her energy, Kaido noted that the baby didn't seem like a reincarnated soul. Thinking about it, he wondered if there were other reincarnators in this world besides him. He figured Nina was probably wondering the exact same thing. One day, his sister called him out to an isolated spot. He told her that if this was a challenge, he accepted, but she just kept making a bored face. Then, she slipped a ring onto his finger. He looked at it and asked what the deal was, joking that it had to be some kind of prank before tossing it away. He mentioned that he had just been thinking about their little sister Lara and how she definitely couldn't be a reincarnator. Right at that moment, Nina teleported behind him, explaining that the ring linked the two of them through a dimensional portal. Kaido asked why she was always sticking so close to him, and she said it was for their own safety. "You're talking like something terrible is about to happen to us," he pointed out. Nina assured him that her main concern was their parents and Lara, so they needed to be extra careful. He then started to realize that she had genuinely changed. She was no longer the ruthless witch who used to chase after him. Still, the guy brushed it off and got back to his training. A few years flew by. They became teenagers and enrolled in high school. Kaido had already regained a massive chunk of his power, mostly because he kept practicing his cultivation even right in the middle of class. He was relentless with his training. He figured he had now amassed as much energy as a 180-year-old. Unsurprisingly, he found all his 17-year-old classmates incredibly childish. Right behind him, a blonde punk was bullying an innocent kid. The jerk was ordering the nerdy kid to go on a snack run to the vending machine. The poor kid was scared to death and stuttered that he didn't bring any money. Hearing that, the bully grabbed a broom, threatening to teach the kid a lesson about bringing cash to school. But out of nowhere, Kaido intercepted and grabbed his arm. The bully was getting furious when they suddenly realized who he was, the quietest, most aloof loner in the whole school. But right now he had a completely different look in his eyes. The punk called the MC a freak and demanded he let go. Instead, Kaido called them all a bunch of cowards. He decided to step in and help because he had gone through the exact same kind of bullying when he was a kid in his past life. People had ostracized and ignored him back then, so he knew exactly what this kid was going through. A red-haired girl chimed in, pointing out that Kaido was the student council president's twin brother, even if they looked nothing alike. The MC just kept crushing the punk's arm. The blonde guy tried to throw a punch, but obviously the badass Kaido dodged it effortlessly. He then stuck his foot out, tripping the guy and sending him crashing to the floor. "All right, I already let you go, man," Kaido said. The bully's friends just laughed, saying they were going to post the video on Instagram and tag the person they were actually recording. After that, the MC walked over to them, sending a wave of panic through the group. But all he did was offer a hand to the kid who was being harassed. Smiling, he told the boy to get up and not to sweat those idiots. Just then, a huge, hulking guy walked up and asked, "Who's this little shrimp causing a scene? What's up, helmet hair? You want to get beat up too?" Seizing the moment, the blonde guy tried to sneak attack Kaido from behind. But as we've already seen, our boy is ridiculously strong. Not only did he easily dodge the blindside attack, but he fired back. "What's the matter, punk? Is that all you've got?" He absolutely thrashed the guy, humiliating him in the process. For those of you who complained about the MC in the last story not humiliating his enemies enough, you're going to absolutely love this one. He slammed the blonde punk into the ground and planted his foot firmly on his chest to disrespect him even further. That red-haired girl kept recording everything on her phone. With his foot still pinning the guy down, Kaido cockily asked if anyone else wanted a piece of him, adding that they weren't even enough for a warm-up. That giant guy had already stepped forward to fight, but Nena intervened, saying they couldn't fight on school grounds. She was the student council president, and everyone there respected her. The crowd even started whispering that her brother Kaido was entirely to blame for the mess. The red-haired girl stubbornly claimed she had everything on video to prove the president's brother started the fight. In response, Nina secretly used her power and shattered the redhead's phone. The girl lost it, screaming that she hadn't even had that phone for a month. The MC realized his sister had done it to cover for him. In a threatening tone, the punk spat that he'd teach him a lesson after school, but the MC completely ignored him and walked over to his new friend. During the break, Nina asked him what the hell he was trying to pull, complaining that she was tired of always covering his tracks. The MC just shrugged it off, saying he was helping a classmate who was being bullied. But Nena told him he couldn't keep getting into fights and needed to adapt to this world, and fast. Kaido, however, argued that this world was no different from their last one, and if adapting meant turning a blind eye to injustice, he wasn't going to just sit around and do nothing. He declared that he was going to change the world, which left her feeling a bit frustrated. It seemed Nena had a pretty miserable past life and was actually content with this new world. At least that's what it looks like so far. Later on, the kid who had been beaten up earlier got cornered again, with the bullies literally sitting on top of him. The blonde guy who got humiliated earlier swore he wasn't going to just let that slide. One of his buddies pointed out that Kaido clearly knew martial arts. Hearing this, the big guy suggested they call in backup since the kid knew how to fight. It would be better if the boss dealt with him directly. After that, the blonde punk grabbed the innocent kid by the hair, yanking his head up, and told him the plan. He was going to act as bait to lure Kaido into an ambush in an empty lot. If he didn't cooperate, he was dead meat. The bell had already rung. Eventually, someone called the MC. It was the nerdy kid, saying he wanted to thank him for saving him earlier and offering to buy Kaido a snack to show his appreciation. The kid's neck was bruised, and he was stammering and trembling as he spoke on the phone. "I know they're threatening you, so just tell me," Kaido thought. "I'm going to teach these guys a lesson so they never mess with you again. We all know these punks are going to regret this big time." Right after that, Kaido showed up at the spot. The thugs were already waiting for him. One of the guys mocked him, asking if this scrawny dude was really the one who beat up his friends. "Is this where the snacks are?" "Suckers," Kaido joked. "Looks like your nerdy little friend stabbed you in the back and set you up. I know you scumbag." "Just kidding." A bald guy sitting nearby kept sneering, saying Kaido was way too full of himself. Stretching his arms, the MC challenged them to a fight, casually dropping that he couldn't take too long or his sister would get mad. And with that, the brawl began. They charged at the MC, but Kaido was completely fearless and took them down without breaking a sweat. Honestly, guys, calling it a fight is a stretch. It was straight up humiliating. The green-haired dude is just standing there trying to wrap his head around how this guy is so ridiculously strong. "Shut up and fight me," Kaido says. So the last few guys standing finally make their move. But the MC was just in a whole different league. It was absolute madness, like watching background extras get completely wrecked. A blonde girl runs up and starts trash-talking him, but Kaido dodges her strike and gears up for a heavy punch, taking out 3 of them at once. The rest of the guys are already shaking in their boots. "You're lucky I held back so I didn't kill you," he tells them. What's the deal? He's seriously way stronger than them. "What is this? Are you trying to test my limits?" The thugs are practically shaking with fear now. The MC straight up tells them he hates people like them, cowards who only gang up on people. He even mentions that he beat up plenty of guys like them in his past life. Right then, that lettuce head guy grabs an iron pipe and gets ready to blindside Kaido from behind. If that hit had landed, it would have been lights out. But Kaido casually blocks it with his bare palm. And mind you, that swing had enough force to kill someone. Without missing a beat, Kaido delivers a brutal strike to his head, knocking the guy out cold on the pavement. The dude actually pees his pants. I bet the rest of the guys there were absolutely terrified too, no doubt about it. They're completely spooked while the MC tells them this is a learning experience. By the next day, rumors are flying all over the school. Everyone's talking about how Nina's brother took out a whole gang of thugs all by himself. Somebody had watched the brawl from a rooftop. A red-haired kid mentions he saw the whole thing go down, but since he was pretty far away, he couldn't tell who it was. Still, people already had a hunch it was Nina's brother because he was known for being a tough guy and getting into fights. The class president overheard all this and just kept sighing, complaining that her brother is a total troublemaker. During gym class, Kaido is chatting with his new friend and tells him he doesn't need to worry anymore. The four-eyed kid asks if the rumors are true. Did he really beat all those guys single-handedly? The MC just laughs it off and says he didn't fight them, he just talked to them. But obviously that's a tough sell, right? Who's going to convince those idiots to change their minds? Anyway, the MC turns and says his classmates have no right to keep spreading rumors like that. The four-eyed kid looks super bummed out and apologizes for dragging him into this mess. Throwing an arm around his new buddy, Kaido tells the kid to stop talking nonsense and stop stressing so much. The kid points out that those guys are in a mafia gang and starts panicking about them coming after Kaido for revenge. Standing up, our main character brushes it off, saying he's not worried because he's strong enough to handle it himself. The kid thanks him, saying it's the first time anyone has ever had his back. Smiling, Kaido replies that it's his first time making a friend, and from now on the kid can count on him for anything. Right then, the nerdy kid asks if Kaido reads a lot of manga, because he was acting exactly like a shonen protagonist. Oh yeah, my boy, our MC is way more than that. The guy literally comes from an era of true culture. Later that night, they're having a family dinner. They always make sure to eat together. Little Lara is complaining about not wanting to eat her carrots, and her mom hits her with the classic, if she eats her veggies, she'll grow up to be as smart as Nina and as strong as Kaido. Then the dad asks how the siblings are doing in school. Nina says she's getting good grades, and the little girl chimes in again, saying she wants to be a brainiac like her big sister. And what about you, Kaido? How are your grades? Putting on a bored face, he says he's way more focused on fighting the injustices of the world. He even claims that getting good grades won't actually get you anywhere in life. After that, he excuses himself to go upstairs and work out, while Nina heads off to hit the books. While the dad is doing the dishes, the mom admits she's really worried. She points out that Kaido is already 17 and doesn't care about school or work at all. The total opposite of Nina, who is super smart and responsible, but the dad just keeps reassuring her that kids grow up at their own pace. Meanwhile, Kaido runs into someone right in the middle of the street. The thugs who got beat up are lingering in the background, pointing at him and telling their pink-haired boss that he's the guy who wrecked them. What is this, you guys looking for a rematch? If you already know what's coming, this is going to be a quick one. Yeah, man, hate to break it to you, but it's going to be real quick. They call Kaido out to fight somewhere else, and since our eccentric MC is an absolute battle junkie, he agrees instantly. So they head into the woods. The mafia boss even says it's a good spot because nobody's around. Yeah, but that also makes it a lot harder to call an ambulance for you guys. Out of nowhere, the guy asks if Kaido is a reincarnated soul. Kaido's face drops in shock. Yep, your reaction says it all. You're definitely reincarnated. Bullseye. The guy is already channeling wind magic at the MC. They had figured out that there were other reincarnated people in this world. Hold up, he's using magical cultivation energy to prep a new attack. The guy says he wants to test Kaido's abilities and lunges at him, but Kaido easily blocks it. Looks like their suspicions were right on the money. He and the witch weren't the only ones who had been reincarnated here. The guy tries to land a hit, but Kaido dodges it smoothly. As they duke it out, the mafia boss notes that Kaido seems completely clueless about how this world actually works. But man, this guy is strong. His opponent is focusing his energy all the way down to his toes. Blocking the strikes, Kaido knows he can't afford to slip up. Just being at that level is impressive in itself. While they're throwing down, the head of the mafia gang just hangs back, watching the whole thing unfold. The thug decides it's time to wrap this up quickly. Curious, Kaido asks if they're using martial arts, but the enemy ignores him and starts charging up an ultimate attack. Throwing a massive punch, he claims it's impossible to dodge. The leader just watches from a distance. As the dust settles, the mafia boss smirks, claiming he crushed Kaido. But the MC is already standing right behind him. The guy is completely blindsided. So are you going to tell me what you guys actually are? The eccentric dude is freaking out, trying to figure out how Kaido dodged that attack. Looks like you aren't just some amateur kid. I guess I'll have to take you seriously. But the main character just taunts him, saying the guy is so weak it won't even serve as a decent warm-up. Now the guy is getting serious. But right as his attack is about to hit the MC, literally inches from his nose, his superior catches his hand to stop him. At that exact moment, Kaido is already flaring up with a dark red aura. It seems the leader realized Kaido was way out of their league. Confused, the mafia boss asks what his superior is doing. Don't forget our mission. Orders come first. The man with the scar on his face apologizes, saying they were only testing him. The MC demands, and who exactly are they to this guy? They introduce themselves as hunters, part of an organization called REBORN. Okay, but how did they know he was reincarnated? They heard a rumor about a high schooler taking down 15 guys solo, which put him on their radar. Plus, when they threw the reincarnation question at him, his shocked reaction gave it all away. Smiling, the leader explains that they are tracking down other reincarnators because of an ongoing turf war. There were plenty of other reincarnated beings in this world who weren't part of the hunters, and they were secretly making moves to take over the world. That's why they were recruiting people like him to fight the ones trying to rule the world. Our hero asks how many reincarnators are actually in their syndicate, but the leader says he can't just hand out classified info to a stranger. He'll only answer that if the MC joins their crew. Kaido immediately gets annoyed, flat out stating that he doesn't serve people weaker than him. The guys just laugh at him. Clearly, they still don't respect Kaido's true strength. Listen up, Kaido. No matter where you go, there's always going to be someone stronger than you. So, the leader decides to test the MC himself, aiming for the kill. Even right in the middle of the clash, they keep claiming they're going to teach him a lesson. The scene shifts to a little later, and Nina hears her brother asking why she studies so much. She tells him she wants to get into a good college, which is why she hits the books so hard. But the MC just laughs and says it's totally pointless. According to her, though, that's just how the real world works. Right then, he warns Nina that there are other reincarnated people in this world, but she brushes it off, saying she doesn't care and just keeps walking. She makes it clear she wants zero part in that kind of stuff and is perfectly happy with her current life. But the guy keeps pushing, saying the Ice Witch wouldn't just let this slide. This seriously pisses her off, and she snaps at him to stop calling her that. Her yelling actually catches the attention of some bystanders. She flat out tells him she's not the Ice Witch he used to know anymore. Now, she's just a normal high school girl named Nina, and if anyone tries to mess with her new life, she'll kill them. And that includes him. Cut to the next day at school. It's just a regular day, but the MC can't stop thinking about his sister. How could she be satisfied with her current life? Just then, his buddy pops up, asks what's on his mind, and hands him an earbud, telling him to check out this new song. As he puts it in, his friend hypes up this new group he's super into, betting Kaido will like it too. The second the song plays, Kaido is stunned. He's heard these lyrics before. They sound exactly like a speech he gave back on the battlefield. No, they were identical. The song was literally repeating the exact words he had said back then. He immediately asks his friend who wrote the lyrics. His buddy tells him it's a super famous singer known as the Queen of Light. He pulls out his phone and pulls up the music video, teasing the MC and asking if he's suddenly a massive fanboy. Staring at the girl on screen, Kaido mutters that her face looks really familiar. The K-pop group has a bunch of members, but the Queen of Light, the blonde standing dead center, was the star, and she wrote the lyrics herself. His friend mentions the group is blowing up so much they're even touring internationally, but the craziest part is still those lyrics, word for word his old speech. Kaido starts theorizing that maybe someone from his old sect reincarnated into that girl's body. He doesn't know why, but he feels drawn to her. He asks his friend straight up, what does he have to do to meet her? His buddy is thrown off and tells him you can only really meet them at a concert or a fan sign event. All right, let's go then, Kaido says. His friend is just like, whoa, where is this coming from? The scene cuts over to the hunter's headquarters. They're in the middle of training. A guy with red hair and a beard is chewing out the other two, calling them totally useless for getting clapped by an ordinary high school kid. The pink-haired girl and the old guy with the scar defend themselves, insisting the kid is insanely strong and admitting they completely underestimated Kaido. Finally, someone else steps in, pointing out that they just weren't strong enough to take the kid down. A red-haired girl looks up as a guy explains that in this world, reincarnators are powerful regardless of their age. He even suggests Kaido might have been a great leader in his past life, which clearly rattles the group. Flexing his cultivation aura, he announces he'll go recruit Kaido himself. Using his magic, he literally levitates the people in the room and starts choking off their oxygen. Kaido might be strong, but that doesn't change the fact that you guys are garbage. This time I'll go down there and put him in his place myself. A younger guy keeps insisting they can't afford to make Kaido an enemy and need to recruit him. Eventually, the red-haired girl agrees, giving the green light for him to head downtown. Meanwhile, our sweet Nina is walking home. I don't know about you guys, but I really like her character. She's stressed out over the fact that there are other reincarnators out there. This triggers a flashback to her childhood when she was super young. She's seen running away from a camp carrying some supplies. After walking for a long time, she ducks into a makeshift tent and calls out to her sister, who happens to be the same red-haired woman we just saw. Her sister asks if she managed to get everything she asked for, and little Nina nods. They pack up and move to another spot. After a few hours of trekking, they arrive at another tent. An old man is there hunting a rat using fire magic to cook it. Nina's sister arrives with her right then. We learn the red-haired girl's name is Rena, and the old man keeps thanking her for coming. He tells little Nina she doesn't have to eat the rat and actually hands her a piece of bread instead. Rena mentions that finding food has been brutally hard lately. Nina asks the old man, who she calls Grandpa, why he chose to live out there all alone. It seems the old man didn't actually know Nina yet, so Rina finally introduces her. Upon hearing her name, the old man warmly tells Nina she has a beautiful name. Conjuring fire in his hands, he explains his reasons for living in isolation, which is also when he learned to use magic. Rina remarks that if he hadn't learned magic in the past, his life probably would have turned out completely different. Nina asks him if learning it really changed his life that much. Snapping back to the present, right as Nina is about to reach her house, she spots a guy just standing there. "What are you doing creeping outside someone else's house?" The guy casually says he's looking for someone, and the second he mentions he's looking for Kaido, Nina's eyes flare up. She channels energy into her hands and summons a magic circle. She introduces herself, letting him know she's Kaido's older sister. A cat walking along a wall watches as the two of them instantly teleport through a portal. The guy looks around, asking if she just used a barrier. He comments that she must be seriously powerful to teleport him to a different location against his will. But Nina is already pissed off, demanding to know what he's doing near her home. The guy claims he just came to have a chat with Kaido. Losing her patience, Nina demands to know who they are and why they are stalking her brother. Laughing, the guy says her brother probably didn't mention it, but they're part of an organization of reincarnators. Nina is absolutely furious now. She tells him she's going to ask one last time, who are they and what do they want with Kaido? And depending on his answer, he might not make it out alive. Smirking sarcastically, he remarks that not every reincarnated person has good manners, adding that she isn't even on a high enough level to be threatening him. Right then, he unleashes his golden energy. Nina declares she's heard enough, and they both launch into an attack. Flashback again. She had started learning magic from that old man, and surprisingly, she was a total prodigy. Overjoyed, she shows her master that she managed to create ice shards. The old man praises them both, saying they have extraordinary talent. Rina had an affinity for fire magic, while Nina had a natural talent for ice magic. Chuckling, the old man calls them seriously impressive. Super hyped, little Nina asks her sister if they can become real witches now. Rina smiles, saying that if they become mages, they'll never have to go hungry again. With the sweetest smile, Nina adds that maybe she'll even be able to find their parents. "Don't tell me you still want to see those people," Rina replies. Nina says yes, because they're family. "Huh? Family is total garbage," Rina mutters. Back to the present. The guy is firing off his light powers, shooting a barrage of energy arrows straight at our girl. But she easily defends herself using her ice magic. The guy admits Nina is unbelievable, but insists she still isn't a match for him. He then summons a sword made of light. Raising a hand, Nina taps into her divine ice powers, generating fresh barriers to block his strikes. The guy can't believe she actually managed to block his sword attack. She mocks him, pointing out that the power gap between them is ridiculous. "Feeling pretty confident, aren't you, girl? Mages at this level are seriously rare, so I guess I'll have to go all out." He finally summons a massive, glowing light monster. With glowing red eyes, he threatens to drag her straight to the underworld. But Nina, who has been cultivating her powers for a long time, just listens to him talk. With a dead serious expression, she tells him he has absolutely zero chance of winning this fight, and just like that, she literally freezes the light. It's physically impossible, but she's just that badass. The guy tries to run away, but even his light monster is getting frozen solid. Taking total control, she commands everything to stop and raises her hand to form a massive magic circle. The bystanders around the area commented that it was snowing, and sure enough, Nina's mom was outside with her little sister. It was super weird to have snow this time of year, but it was literally snowing right in their neighborhood. Guys, inside that domain expansion, Nina just sighs. We see that the guy is completely frozen solid. She slowly walks over and stops right in front of him. Using her magic, she levitates into the air, and we see she left only his head unfrozen. Terrified, the guy asks what she's doing. With a flick of her finger, she snaps his arm clean off. The frozen arm shatters on the ground, and he starts screaming in agony. She tells him she's going to start asking questions, and she has zero patience for him dodging them. With a dead serious expression, she demands, "Tell me everything you know." He explains that death isn't the end of everything, and people can be reincarnated into another realm. And coincidentally, everyone from that other world had been reincarnated on Earth. The reason they were reincarnated was because back in the other realm they were major figures, rulers, mages, and cultivators. But now, they were living under a totally different system. The reincarnators started hiding within society, and soon enough, the government realized certain humans possessed bizarre powers. Of course, the rulers of this world officially denied that these people existed, But behind closed doors, they had already started keeping tabs on them. The reincarnators who slipped up and exposed their secret eventually faced some devastating consequences. The soldiers of this world didn't know martial arts, let alone how to use magic. But they were highly organized, structured, and armed with heavy-duty weapons. Because of this, the reincarnators started banding together to fight back against the humans of this world. They realized the only way to beat the soldiers was by teaming up. That's why they began combining martial arts with magic. It was the only way they managed to win. After that, reincarnators started forming organized factions. And a lot of these factions had one goal: world domination. Just like the power struggles between different sects in the past, history was repeating itself in the present. It was also because several groups with conflicting ideologies were fighting each other for control. The guy explains that the same leaders from the past are still around in today's world. The kid was completely broken at this point and just spilled the whole story to Nina right then and there. She asks how many reincarnators are in this world, and the guy admits there are a lot, but most of them are laying low in society. Raising her hand, she says that's enough. In exchange for the info, she promises to end his life without any pain, and with that, she heads home. Meanwhile, her mom is on the phone, mentioning that it only snowed in their specific neighborhood. Little Lara is already taking full advantage of it, building a snowman in the backyard while singing a song. Right then, she sees a portal open up, and out steps Nina. Her little sister immediately starts asking if her big sister is secretly a fairy. What? Lara, what are you doing out here? Are you a fairy, big sister? Lara runs over, hugs her, and keeps asking if she has magic powers. Trying to play it off, Nina smiles and says yes, she is a fairy, but it has to be their little secret from now on. The next day, the MC heads to the capital to see the Golden Queen. She had a massive fan base, and his nerdy friend keeps complaining about how hard it's going to be to actually meet her. While they're waiting in line, the friend tells Kaido to hold his spot because he has to hit the bathroom. Up at the top of the stadium, we see a group of people. It's that exact same squad of hunters. They were tracking someone, and that someone was none other than the MC. They even note that he brought a high school friend along to the stadium. The vibe down there was crazy energetic. A producer runs in, saying the fans are waiting for the artists, and the girls say they're just warming up their vocals and will be on stage soon. The producer asks where the Golden Queen is, and one of her friends mentions she stepped out for some fresh air. We then see the girl up high in the stadium. She felt something off and mentions sensing cultivation energy in the area. She looks up and spots a few people, but they vanish instantly. Realizing there are cultivators around, she decides to go after them. Kaido had also noticed the movement and knew both the Golden Queen and the hunters were in the same spot. The mafia guys ended up kidnapping the MC's friend, dragging the kid along with them. They did it to bait Kaido, but the Golden Queen ended up showing up instead. The red-haired girl from the hunters was terrified, but the queen looked incredibly badass. She demands to know what they're doing with her fan. The hunter guy, already annoyed, tells her he isn't waiting for her but for someone else. Realizing his friend Dong is taking way too long, Kaido decides he better go look for him. If he keeps stalling like this, we're never going to get in. Just then, he senses a spike in cultivation energy and sees an explosion go off in the building next door. Yeah, looks like there's some trouble going down nearby, but if I get involved in this fight, my sister is definitely going to come pull my ear. The guy absolutely lived for a good brawl, so he finally caves, drops his restraint, and decides to head over. However, the Golden Queen had already handled everything. By the time Kaido gets there, he sees them all knocked out on the ground. Did this girl seriously take them all down by herself? Wait, why is Dong here? He drops down onto the roof. Checking his friend's pulse, he's relieved to feel he's still alive. He asks if she was the one who did this to his friend, but she says no, she only came to help him. Wait a second, looking closer, I feel like I know her from somewhere. It was the exact Golden Queen he was looking for, and he can't help but admit she's absolutely stunning. Smiling, he asks if she happens to be a member of the divine demonic cultivation realm. She's completely caught off guard, complaining that people from the past just won't stop bothering her. The MC demands she reveal her true identity, but she says she's sick of it and offers him one last chance to walk away. If he grabs his friend and leaves, she'll spare his life. But our main character isn't one to back down from a fight. He insists he's going to find out who she was in her past life, adding that he won't go easy on her just because she's a woman. When he calls her a woman, she bursts out laughing, and right then my suspicions start kicking in. Kaido dashes forward, and their energies clash violently. She somehow manages to catch his punch, and he's genuinely surprised by how insanely strong she is. Without missing a beat, she calls out an opening and lands a massive hit on him. The strike packs so much power that Kaido is sent flying backward. He crashes hard into a railing, and she taunts him, saying all his tough talk was for nothing. Kaido, however, is loving every second of it. He grins, saying it's been way too long since he found a worthy opponent. The girl celebrates a little, admitting she was actually worried she might have killed him with that punch. But now that she knows he can take a hit, she decides to get serious too. It's been a long time since I felt this kind of rush. Flashing a slight smirk, the girl echoes the exact same feeling. And with that, they jump right back into the fight. Surging with energy, he tells her it's going to be tough for her to block this one. Bringing her arms up, she braces for the impact as he unleashes a flurry of heavy strikes. She realizes she's definitely felt this kind of energy before. Trying to create some distance, she throws a kick, which just gets Kaido even more hyped. He promises not to give her an inch to breathe and reaches out to grab her by the throat. But she just laughs. He realizes too late he stepped right into a trap. At the last possible second, she ducks under his grab, sticks her tongue out, and calls out another opening on his flank, driving a brutal strike right into his ribs. The hit is so devastating that he's completely stunned and gets blasted away again, this time crashing all the way into the next building. Yeah, looks like I definitely underestimated this girl. Wait, I recognize this martial art. The girl holds her combat stance, revealing it's the diamond body technique. Standing on the adjacent roof, the Golden Queen keeps telling him he's completely outmatched. But Kaido is now absolutely certain. This girl is actually the King of the Mountain, his old comrade from the past. It makes sense because his old buddy was also huge and totally dense. He realizes they are exactly the same. Back in the day, they were massive rivals and had some seriously legendary brawls. Once the mountain warrior stood in the exact same spot for 400 days straight just to train for a rematch with him. The guy was so ridiculously powerful that he earned the title King of the Mountain. Their final battle felt like it would drag on forever. They fought for days on end, and it seemed like it would only stop when one of them finally dropped dead. Because of this, Kaito gave it his absolute all, and the fight only ended when the MC landed the final blow. Defeated, the King of the Mountain swore his loyalty, and just like that, they became allies. The guy had a good heart, but he was a total battle junkie, and so he became Kaito's first general. Hey, King of the Mountain, what's up with that look? What happened to you? The Golden Queen demands to know how he recognizes her, adding that it just gives her more reason to finish him off. I'm not letting you out of here alive. Hold up, you're getting a little ahead of yourself, aren't you? Guess I'm going to have to teach you a lesson. He starts unleashing his energy. It was the art of the heavenly demon. Seeing that technique completely shocks the girl because it belonged to her former master. Kaito had already prepped his falling dragon fist, and she was absolutely certain now. This was the sect leader. She bursts out laughing, saying that shock brought back some serious nostalgia. She braces for a head-on collision and both attacks clash in mid-air. However, he was way stronger than her. The energy scatters, completely obliterating the area she was standing in. But we see that Kaito took some damage too. Looks like this body still isn't tough enough to handle my full power. He's caught off guard when the Golden Queen suddenly bows down, the exact same way the King of the Mountain used to back in the day. She was greeting the sect leader. Hey Queen, raise your head. She stands up, blushing with a massive smile on her face. She admits it's been a long time since she heard that and that she really missed it. Why didn't you just tell me who you were from the start, you idiot? Talk about being head over heels. She says she was dying to see him again and was totally convinced he had reincarnated too. He asks why she looks like that, and she explains she didn't have a choice since she reincarnated into a female body. As she grew up, she realized she had turned into a gorgeous girl, so she decided to use her new body's perks to become a K-pop idol. She even gets a bit defensive, telling her master he should be hyping her up, not criticizing her. Right then, Kaito starts wondering if the other generals reincarnated too, asking her about the whereabouts of the Lord of the Poisonous Tigers, the Poison General. She pulls a piece of paper from her chest, mentioning she heard about him a while back. Kaito grabs the paper, thinking to himself that she had really adapted well to that new body. The paper was basically a letter where the Poison General was trash-talking the MC. Did you notice he's insulting both of us? Kaito asks. She makes a weird face because she totally missed that part. Yeah, that was pretty obvious because you're honestly an idiot. In the letter, the Poison General stated that he had reincarnated and received offers from other alliances of reincarnators. He fought against powerful enemies and was now heading off to train and get even stronger, so he could back up the sect leader in future wars once he returned. He added that he only wrote the letter because the king of the mountain was too stupid to understand. At that moment, Kaito realizes there are tons of other reincarnators out there. This hunter group wasn't the only one. Stressed out, he crushes the letter. He's worried his family is going to be in danger now that most people know he was the leader of the Heavenly Demon sect. The Golden Queen speaks up, saying there's something she really wants to ask. Did he ever manage to defeat that witch in the past? Kaito remembers that during the final war, the Ice Queen managed to wipe out all of his generals. Getting a little embarrassed, he admits he thought the king of the mountain might have survived long enough to beat her. Suddenly, he notices his ring glowing. That meant his sister was in danger. Whenever the ring lit up, it gave him the chance to open a portal linking the two of them. The girl asks what's wrong since the sect leader is looking visibly anxious. He starts imagining that the hunters found his family and that his sister is fighting to protect them. He can't stop thinking about the worst-case scenario. His little sister being taken hostage. And here we see it, guys. He's actually starting to worry about his parents and his sister, people he barely cared about before. Hey guys, if you've made it this far into the video, please do us a solid by dropping a like and a comment. Whenever you comment, the algorithm realizes our channel is relevant and recommends the video to more people. Right then, he stands up and says he has some urgent business to handle. Before vanishing into the portal, he tells the Golden Queen to take care of Dong's body. Oh my gosh, Master is so amazing. He already learned teleportation magic. Nope, my sweet summer child, that was actually the magic of his enemy, the Ice Queen. I honestly wonder what the Golden Queen is going to do when she finds out that the witch is actually her master's sister. Meanwhile, Nina was struggling, and it wasn't against those hunters, guys. She was fighting a literal monster. Kaito teleports right into her room. Huh, where's that witch? She's not here. Just then, he spots a gateway and, despite being a little freaked out, steps inside. When he crosses into the other dimension, he realizes she's fighting a Shinigami. How is this even possible? My sister is fighting a Grim Reaper? The creature lunges at the girl, and Kaito yells out for her to watch out. The scythe misses her by a hair. Our girl had to use her ice powers, managing to block the attack, but the Reaper was way too fast and eventually shattered the ice. She's stunned, realizing this monster is way stronger than she expected. If she wasn't careful, she was going to die. The Shinigami keeps repeating that it will end her permanently and finally charges straight at her. She takes a massive hit from the impact, and Kaito gets incredibly worried about his sister. Guys, who would have thought? In that exact moment, the monster was right about to finish her off. Then, our boy jumps in, declaring he won't let some monster kill his sister. Boom! Massive impact. He manages to land a supernatural dragon punch right on the creature's head. As he lands in front of her, she's totally shocked. She even has the nerve to ask why he's interfering in her fight. Can you stop complaining? Did you miss the part where I just saved your life, girl? This was a Reaper, the guardian of the Crystal Palace who used to serve the Ice Witch. Kaito even notes that half of his army was wiped out by this exact monster in the past. Nina had summoned this Shinigami herself to act as a guard dog to protect their house. He tells her it's dangerous, but Nina snaps back that it's entirely his fault because he's constantly picking fights. She reveals that a reincarnated guy actually showed up at their house looking for Kaito, all because her brother kept looking for trouble everywhere. So, since that organization knew their address now, she decided to make a contract with this Shinigami to protect them. The monster interrupts, asking when she's going to shut up and get back to fighting. The MC just keeps bickering with his sister, leaving the poor Shinigami forced to awkwardly wait on standby. What kind of monster is this? Are you in a rush to get a beatdown? The creature keeps calling them insolent bugs, and Nina yells that she'll defeat it again and make it her servant, just like in her past life. However, Kaito starts feeling a bit off. He burned through a lot of energy fighting the Golden Queen, and now he has to push himself even harder to fight a Reaper. Still, there was no way he was letting his sister fight that monster alone. Right then, Nina starts casting the Absolute Zero spell. He knows she needs time to charge that spell up, so he decides to brawl with the monster to buy his sister the time she needs to gather her power. And so, he activates the Divine Dragon technique and throws himself into a frantic battle against the creature. But the strain on his body, which was still much weaker than before, was intense. A few seconds later, Nina announces she's finally activated her magic. Massive streams of ice materialize, and she unleashes a devastating strike right into the Shinigami. It's over. I won. She walks forward slowly while the poor monster just stands there begging them to finish him off quickly. Walking up to her brother, she asks him what he's doing, and the poor guy just passes out cold. Seeing that totally freaks her out. I don't know about you guys, but Nina is super cute here. She's already my favorite character. As her brother lies helpless on the ground, she keeps mumbling that he pushed himself way too hard. According to Nina, some things never change. She remembers he used to be the exact same way back in the past. She figured it might be better for her family if she just left him there for dead, considering he'd caused nothing but trouble. We get a breakdown of how the demon realm actually worked. The place was run by 52 feudal lords, including the goddess of death, also known as the Reaper or Shinigami. One day, the Shinigami was summoned by the Ice Queen. After losing a battle, she started working for her at her palace. Naturally, that fight was no walk in the park. Of course she was going to lose. The Ice Queen was way out of her league. After being defeated, she was practically enslaved by her. The sorceress ordered her to guard the Crystal Palace, so she started taking out anyone who tried to invade. And since she was way stronger than most seekers, she beat them handily. The Shinigami figured she could get close to the sorceress and become great friends. The Ice Witch, however, totally hated her and told her to get out of her sight immediately. But the Shinigami knew that humans have a much shorter lifespan than demons, so all she had to do was wait for the witch to kick the bucket to break their contract. But 1,000,000 years went by and she still hadn't died. The Shinigami had no clue how she had lived that long and wondered how she managed to completely surpass human limits. The Crystal Palace raid, but then, this guy shows up leading a massive army. He decided to raid the Crystal Palace. This kid, Kaido, claimed he wanted to free the world from the clutches of tyranny, and the final boss in his way was the Ice Witch, who had actually managed to achieve immortality. However, the Shinigami's only hope was that this guy would finally take the witch down. The goddess of death eventually fought Kaido and lost. Because of this, she was sent packing back to the demon realm. But of course, she never forgot that humiliation. She had been enslaved by a human for way too long. And now, unbelievably, she had lost again. But this time, it was to the reincarnated witch. Reincarnation and the new servants we see Nina healing her brother. Meanwhile, the goddess of death ended up turning into this super cute little ghost. And when Nina got annoyed by her screaming, she morphed into an even cuter little ghost. Nina could have just left her brother, who used to be her mortal enemy, trapped there to die. But she didn't. We can see she's genuinely changed, guys, and actually cares about her brother now. The Shinigami was piecing things together and kept firing off questions. But Nina tells the goddess of death to zip it, and she just stands there covering her tiny mouth. It was super weird for the goddess of death to watch the sorceress heal Kaido, her arch-nemesis. But she was only doing it so he'd survive long enough to finish the job. Right after that, she kicks him in the stomach and tells him to get up already. Once he sits up, he keeps whining about how his whole body hurts. Next, he asks if it's true that the hunters showed up at her house, and she says yes. All Nina ever wanted was a quiet, peaceful life, and she even asks out loud why no one will just let her live in peace. Kaido, the main character, feels a bit guilty about his mistake. Right then, she stands up and declares that since they won't give her any peace, she isn't going to just sit around either. She's going to make the first move. The girl says she's got a plan and she's dragging him into it by making him her servant. From now on, Kaido is her second servant, while the goddess of death gets to be the first. Kaido, of course, keeps protesting that he's not taking orders from her. Nina preps a spell and starts poking his bruises with her finger, making him scream in pain. In that moment, she agrees to make him her partner and ally. She also mentions that the goddess of death, despite her cute face, is still totally overpowered and can guard the house. She keeps provoking Kaido by playing with his hair, and he tells her to knock it off. First things first, they need to gather intel on the hunters and find out if anyone knows a guy who has information on them. The Golden Queen crashes the party as it turns out there was someone, and that person eventually rolls up in a limo. It was none other than the Golden Queen, Sophia. She walks in with a smirk. Nina keeps asking what this girl standing in front of her house wants. Sophia says she's been looking for Kaido ever since he called her. Nina immediately starts thinking, why is my brother getting mixed up with these idiotic girls? As she steps into the house, Nina tells her that her brother will be back later, so she should wait. But Sophia just walks right in. The Shinigami senses an intruder and instantly warns Nina that the trespasser is a reincarnator. Right then, Sophia turns around and asks who she is. She just sits there, completely confused. Wait a sec. What kind of monster is this in front of you? No way. Don't tell me you're the Ice Witch. Sophia openly unleashes her energy and says she didn't expect them to cross paths again so soon. Nena asks what kind of mess her brother is getting into by bringing these crazy people inside. Taking off her tie, Nena says she's going to sort this out real quick. She uses her magic and pulls them all into her domain expansion. Sophia smiles and says it'll be easier to fight like this, and she moves so fast she practically vanishes. She knew she had to act fast because the Ice Witch was insanely strong. However, someone keeps yelling at them to stop, and Sophia realizes there's a blade coming. She uses her diamond body technique to block the goddess of death's scythe. We all know that creature is powerful, but Sophia is no slouch either. She's so strong that she snatches the scythe and slams the Shinigami right into the ground. Moving right along, Nina preps her ice magic. She admits she recognizes the blonde girl's strength, but swears she won't let her leave alive. All right, you can use your strongest magic now. You don't need to give me orders, girl. With that, Nina hurls a massive ice spear, but Lara suddenly enters the domain expansion and begs her sister not to fight. Nena realizes her little sister stepped right into the line of fire and the spear is heading straight for her. What's wrong, girl? Are you about to get hit? And then a massive explosion goes off. The aftermath and the interrogation outside, everything was totally calm and quiet. A few minutes later, Kaido gets home. He notices some women's shoes outside and asks who they belong to. His mom comes over and says it's his sister's friend, and that she invited her over herself. My daughter, I had no idea you knew a celebrity. When he walks into the living room, he realizes it's actually the Golden Queen. Sophia casually calls him the cult leader, and his mom keeps prying about what that story is all about. He gets a bit stressed out and asks if the Golden Queen has somehow befriended Nina. He had absolutely no idea that his little sister had narrowly escaped Nina's ice spear, and the one who saved her was actually Sophia. That girl seriously got on Nina's nerves, but if it weren't for her, her little sister would be dead. She only survived because Sophia used her diamond shield. The two of them keep tossing around little jokes about being super strong. Surprisingly, Sophia had already hit it off with Lara. Sophia claims she's a really close friend of Kaido's because they were both orphaned in the war. Seeing that he now has a mom who cares about him actually makes the girl super emotional. Kaido's mom asks Nena what this whole orphan story is about, and Nena brushes it off, making up an excuse that it's just a silly roleplay game they're doing. After that, Kaido says he's taking the girls up to his room to have a serious chat. By the way, the bedroom door literally had a sign saying knock before entering. The main character asks who let this crazy girl inside, and Nena says she's technically his friend and just invited herself in. With a wink, Sophia says she dug up some dirt on the whereabouts of a hunter executive. Come on, spit it out, tell us what you found. Sophia brags that she used her good looks to charm a fan. When they met up, she found out he was actually an executive for the hunters. Nina points out that this fan might just be lying, but they can definitely go check it out to see if the intel is legit, and they could ride over there in her limo. When they get to the spot, the guy admits he really is an executive at the Hunter Pavilion, and he only agreed to meet with the MC's crew because he's a massive fan of the Golden Queen, Sophia. Nina doesn't beat around the bush. She straight up tells him their goal is to completely wipe out the Hunter group. The guy asks if she's being serious, but then scoffs, saying they're way too weak and pulling that off is impossible. However, Nina casually drops the bomb that her brother is Kaido, the leader of the demonic cult, and that she is the Ice Queen. Hearing that, the guy absolutely loses his mind in fear. Back then, he was just a regular farmer, but he'd always heard stories about them. In reality, he grew up as a Shaolin monk, and now that he's crossed over into this world, he just wants to live it up and enjoy a life of luxury. Makes sense. In his past life, the guy was practically a saint. While he's going on about how much he wants to party, the MC and his sister can't help but think about how shameless this dude is. He admits that the Hunter group was a massive pain for him too, constantly overcharging him. Nina already realizes he could be a huge asset. He agrees that if it's true that the MC is Kaido and she's the Ice Queen Nina, things are going to be a whole lot easier. They might actually have a shot in this fight. Because of this, Nina tells him to spill everything he knows about this Hunter group. He explains that they're a criminal syndicate born right out of the Korean mafia. Their endgame? Taking over all of Korea using corporate extortion. They've pulled off countless crimes and are racking up some serious power and influence. Kaido gets hyped, saying that to take them down, they need to infiltrate the place first. But Nina tells him to chill. She points out that a frontal assault would draw way too much heat. The businessman backs her up, adding that the hunter's company has a ton of regular, everyday employees caught up in their ranks, so they can't just storm the front gates and start a riot. Going solo a few days pass. Kaido and Nina head to the hunter headquarters. Their game plan is to take out the heavy hitters first. "Are you ready to crush them?" she asks. She says she'll handle the internal camera circuits first, using her magic to wipe out the security feed. She reminds him to play it smart and focus strictly on taking down the top bosses. Suddenly, Nina gets a call from her mom. There's an emergency, and since Lara can't be left alone, Nina has to head back home to watch her little sister. Kaido keeps whining that Lara is already old enough to look after herself, but Nina tells him to zip it and absolutely forbids him from causing trouble until she gets back. She repeats this like 5 times because she knows exactly how reckless her brother is. Then, poof, she teleports away with magic. He waits around for a few minutes, but he's getting way too antsy. Deciding he can't wait any longer, he pulls his hat down tight and mutters that he can handle this solo. Meanwhile, guards on patrol are reporting that the cameras are down. Acting like he owns the place, Kaido walks straight toward them. Spotting a bunch of commotion, he takes a massive leap, clearing the height of the entire building, and touches down right on the roof. He starts sprinting. He made it in totally undetected, and he's feeling pretty cocky that the plan is going to work. Now, all he has to do is take the stairs down. Halfway down the corridor, he starts hunting for anyone who looks important. The door to the security room is wide open, so he peeks inside to see if he can catch a break. According to the intel from the businessman, the boss of the syndicate is holding a conference on the 18th floor, but with half the cameras down, it's tough to verify. Still, he manages to pinpoint the meeting room. Just then, the patrol guards from downstairs come back up and immediately yell that he's trespassing. Plus, his outfit looks super suspicious. Without many options, Kaido decides it's lights out for them and clocks the guy right in the face. Quipping that it's nap time, he casually strolls into the next room. Another guard demands to know who he is before slamming the emergency button. Sirens start blaring through the entire building, and the mafia bosses realize they've got company. The big boss demands a sit rep. He knows an alarm means they've got an intruder. Kaido is booking it, trying to reach the conference hall as fast as possible, but eventually gets cut off mid-sprint. A woman immediately grabs her radio to call for backup, but a massive, hulking dude stops her, bragging that he doesn't need help and can handle the kid himself. The giant charges, but Kaido just kicks him square in the face, sending him flying. More goons rush in, but our boy is on a completely different level. The woman tries throwing up a protection spell, but it's not nearly enough. Kaido just cracks his knuckles and easily takes her out. Kaido keeps joking around, saying he's barely even warmed up. Right at that moment, his phone rings. It's his sister. She sounds super anxious and asks if he's actually waiting outside like he promised. He lies through his teeth. "Yeah, totally," trying to act like he's just chilling outside. I don't know, your voice sounds super suspicious right now. Don't tell me you decided to attack by yourself," she accuses. "No way, my voice isn't weird, my phone's just old, that's all." He scrambles. Just then, he spots the sign pointing to the conference room and heads straight for it. While still on the phone, he keeps trying to rush her off, saying he can't talk right now, mostly because he finally found the exact room he was looking for. His sister is screaming through the speaker about how reckless he is, right as Kaido steps face to face with the leader of the mafia syndicate. A red-haired woman next to the boss keeps sneering about how arrogant this kid is, begging the president to let her deal with him personally. But Kaido just smirks and asks if they're looking for another beatdown, even mocking one of the guys for getting his butt kicked by a K-pop girl earlier. The guy gets defensive, insisting he only lost because he let his guard down and that this time it's going to be different. "All right then," Kaido taunts. "Hey, beard guy, come at me." But the president orders everyone to shut up, declaring that Kaido is here to settle the score directly with him. The boss steps forward slowly, actually apologizing for his agent's bad manners. The goons are confused, whispering, "What does the president mean by that?" Then, the boss formally apologizes for all the stunts his people have pulled. Kaido keeps up the banter, quipping that at least their president is smart enough to know they stand zero chance of winning. Suddenly, the beaten-up guards from the hallway run in and start groveling to the president. The bald-headed guy stammers out that he doesn't blame his agents because this guest is insanely strong. He admits he knew right from the start that this fish was way too big for fry like them to handle, warning everyone not to underestimate Kaido. He then asks if Kaido was the one who defeated Kedai, their second-in-command. Fun fact, that number 2 guy actually got wrecked by his sister. But Kaido plays it cool and keeps his mouth shut. The president chimes in, saying that these failures are way weaker than Kadai anyway. Looking at Kaido's aura, the president guesses that he must have been a major big shot in his past life. They ask who he really is, but Kaido brushes it off, saying it doesn't matter. Naturally, this makes the president even more curious. He claims that in a past life they were best friends, two legendary warriors. Kaido sarcastically asks if the president is going to try to get revenge for that. Looking right at the kid, the president tells Kaido to stay quiet and hear him out. He doesn't believe they were all reincarnated by total coincidence. He believes in some grand destiny, arguing that even these failures must have reincarnated with him for a reason. He's totally convinced that this world is basically an arena meant to crown a new god. The warrior who crushes all the other reincarnators will claim the throne of this world. With that epic monologue out of the way, he extends a hand and invites Kaido to join him. When the day comes and he ascends as the god of this land, he promises to make Kaido his top general. He calls it an offer he literally can't refuse, swearing Kaido will have ultimate authority by his side. But our MC is just getting annoyed. He gets genuinely pissed off, telling the guy that anyone who goes around calling themselves a god is completely out of their damn mind. Unleashing his own energy, he flat out states he doesn't serve people weaker than him. The president puts on a bored face and sighs, saying he has no choice but to eliminate him now. He fires up his fire cultivation magic and Kaido charges forward, totally fed up with this villain's nonsense. Laughing like a maniac, the president yells that he's destined for godhood, and the two clash. But Kaido is caught off guard when the president suddenly vanishes. The guy reappears, flexing hard and bragging about his insane speed. Despite taking a hit to his arm, Kaido smirks and says he should be the one apologizing, because he totally underestimated the president. The president says he'll accept the apology, but Kaido has to get on his knees first. Right then, our MC smirks, thinking this president is way too full of himself, but hey, it'll make for a fun fight. Without hesitating, our boy dashes forward and throws a flurry of punches, but the president blocks every single one of them. The fight is super intense, and the guy is no pushover. He even launches a vicious counterattack. However, Kaido notices several blind spots in his defense and manages to land a clean hit right on his face. That strike sends the president stumbling back. It looks like he finally recognizes the power of Kaido's red aura. In response, he unleashes the explosive demon fire technique. His hands glow with massive energy, and he actually comes dangerously close to killing Kaido. But dodging the attack, Kaido throws a left hook and just keeps raining down punches. The Hunter Organization agents start panicking for their president, while our main guy tells them there's plenty more where that came from. The president finally registers the aura completely and realizes it's the falling dragon fist technique. The guy gets beat up so badly, straight up like a scene out of Naruto, that he eventually gets sent flying. It seems he finally figured out whose power this is. It's the signature move of the Heavenly Demon Cult's leader. He knows that if his agents find out who Kaido really is, they might turn on him. So, he immediately orders his goons to attack the kid, which is crazy ironic because many of them used to serve Master Kaido in the past. And just like that, a bunch of agents rush in to take down their former master, completely clueless that he's the actual leader of the Heavenly Cult. The MC readies himself for battle, telling them to bring it on. However, his body is still pretty banged up from his recent fight against the Shinigami. The enemies take advantage of this opening and slash the kid's leg, injuring him badly. Things are starting to look super dangerous. Meanwhile, Nina is still hanging out with Kaido's little sister. She just knows her brother is out there causing trouble and mutters about how she can never leave him alone. Honestly, Kaido is the one who needs a babysitter. She notices her ring glowing, which is the emergency signal that he's in trouble. Finally, the girl's mom comes back, apologizing for the wait. She says she was delayed because she picked up a cake for them and offers to brew some afternoon coffee, but Nina makes an excuse, saying she has a friend waiting for her. She bolts out the door, telling the mom to stay safe and have fun. You have fun because he definitely isn't going to, she thinks to herself. Back to Master Kaido. Calling him vulnerable right now is an understatement. In the past, he united the entire martial arts world, but now he's getting jumped by his own former disciples. Taking on so many guys right after facing off with the goddess of death was super reckless. But even so, he's still landing heavy hits. He's not giving up. In a tight spot, he manages to dodge a sword strike and finishes the guy off with a brutal knee right to the face. The other fighters rush him, yelling that they can't let Kaido escape. Another guy tries to slice him, but our main character effortlessly sidesteps it and socks him square in the jaw. There are just too many enemies, it feels like an endless horde. Grappling with one of the guys, Kaido admits to himself that he really should have listened to Nina. "You're the boss," Kaido yells at the president. "Act like a warrior and fight me one-on-one." But the coward just keeps causing a scene and screaming for more backup. Sure enough, more armed goons show up. Suddenly Kaido's ring starts glowing. And right on cue, our lovely and badass Nina makes her epic entrance. She scolds him, saying she told him over and over again to wait for her. Then, using her ice magic, she blasts the whole mob of enemies away. She promises to teach him a lesson once this fight is over. Kaido tries to play it cool, claiming he was only struggling because he fought the goddess of death 2 days ago. Otherwise, he would have squashed these arrogant bugs in a heartbeat. Nina deploys a massive magic circle, declaring she's going to wipe them all out, which instantly turns the tide of the battle. The president realizes he's totally screwed. Most of his henchmen are down, leaving only him standing. In that moment, he realizes the heavenly demon cult leader has teamed up with the Ice Queen. So, in a final act of desperation, he powers up to his absolute max. He's trying to blow himself up and take everyone down with him. But our MC isn't about to let this guy nuke the whole building. He instantly hits him with the Wind Dragon Palm. The attack is so fast and powerful that the president doesn't even have time to pass out before getting leveled. Nina tells Kaido they need to finish this scumbag off for good, especially since the hunters know where they live. But the MC decides on a different route. He says he'll block all their chi veins so they lose their memories and can never use cultivation again. And that's exactly what he does. Still, Kaido actually showed some mercy here, guys, by letting that maniac live. And just like that, they successfully put an end to the Hunter organization. With the threat finally gone, things go back to normal and he gets to spend quality time with his sister. Back at school, life is surprisingly peaceful. He's bragging to Dong about meeting the Golden Queen, and his buddy can barely believe it. Meanwhile, Nina keeps thinking that with the hunters wiped out, they'll finally get some peace and quiet. "Oh, honey, you thought wrong. And that skinny kid he's always bragging about? He keeps flexing that he and Sophia have become super close friends." Right then, the MC asks, "Wait, what's this about traveling to Japan?" Dong explains that it's an upcoming school trip, which gets the MC totally hyped. Finally, the day of the trip arrives. The gang is buzzing with excitement since it's their first time flying on an airplane. A few hours later, they touch down in Osaka. Nina thinks this is going to be a blast. They stop to take some pictures and then line up at a small food stall to grab a bite. Dong can't stop pointing out how flawless Kaido's Japanese is, all thanks to the translation magic Nina cast on him. Suddenly, Kaido says he really needs to hit the restroom. Nina gives him directions: take the next turn, go straight, and then take a left at the first intersection. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to a remote temple. A sleek car pulls up and a guy in a sharp suit steps out. A monk comes out to greet him, saying they've been expecting him. He heads inside and hands over some documents, stating that they contain all the intel on their target, emphasizing that the mission needs to be executed completely under the radar. In another room, an old man is briefing a ninja. He asks if the mission details are clear and tells the ninja to make absolutely sure there are no loose ends. With that, the ninja sets off. Back in the heart of Osaka, the MC is completely lost. He's getting frustrated, complaining that he can't find his way out of the alleys. Just then, he senses an intense, malicious intent coming from nearby. He decides to follow it, and as he gets closer, he realizes the energy feels incredibly strange. This definitely calls for a deeper investigation. Inside an abandoned warehouse, there's the ninja from earlier. He's just assassinated a man and mutters that the target has been eliminated. Now he just needs to wipe the evidence. But as he turns around, he comes face to face with our MC, who just casually hopped in through the window. Kaido is surprised by the whole bloody scene and jokingly asks the guy if he's a reincarnated ninja too. Back at the tour group, the teacher is calling the students, announcing that the bus has already started boarding. Dong frantically starts looking for Nina and Kaido. The teacher tells him to hurry up and get on, but the kid keeps saying his friends aren't back yet. At the warehouse, the ninja demands to know who the kid is. Our MC just wants to know why he killed that guy. The ninja, however, isn't in the mood to chat. He just states that he needs to erase all witnesses. He swings his sword, but our warrior easily dodges the strike and preps a counterattack. In the blink of an eye, he lands a massive blow straight to the ninja's gut, sending him flying across the room. "Well, guess you really don't want to talk," Kaido quips. The masked assassin struggles to stand up, but it's just a distraction. A second later, he unleashes a barrage of shurikens. It catches Kaido a bit off guard, but he still manages to dodge them. The masked guy growls that he doesn't have time to waste. He fakes a lunge at the MC, forcing Kaido to duck, but it was a perfect feint. The ninja uses the split-second opening to make a run for it. Yep, looks like this guy is a total coward. Jumping out the window right after him, Kaido smirks and says he's going to hunt him down because this just got fun. And just like that, an epic rooftop chase across the city begins. Speaking into his comms, the ninja tells his crew that he's being followed and that he's leading his pursuer straight to their nearest base. So, the main character finally steps into an ancient Japanese temple. Scratching his cheek, he mutters about how that ninja just vanished into thin air. He's also sweating the fact that his teacher and his sister are totally going to chew him out. But the place gives off a seriously eerie vibe, and he knows he can't just turn tail and run. He catches himself wondering what the deal is with those creepy statues. Glancing up, he calls out to the ninja, calling him a massive coward, but suddenly, he realizes he's totally surrounded. Someone steps out of the shadows, walking slow, and says the MC must be pretty gutsy to show up here all by his lonesome. "Looks like you're the only one brave enough to actually challenge me," the guy says. Holding his hand out, the man smirks and calls Kaido nothing but a green rookie begging for trouble. With a whole squad of ninjas gearing up for a fight, Kaido just taunts them, egging them all on to attack at once. The ninjas leap into the air, swords drawn and ready to strike, but the kid is already channeling pure energy into his hands. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Nina is absolutely fuming. She knows her brother is a walking disaster, and she has a sneaking suspicion that Dong knows exactly where he is. Things go from bad to worse when a ring starts glowing. Realizing her brother isn't coming back anytime soon, she declares she's going out there to drag him back herself and slams the door behind her. All she wanted was a little peace and quiet, but with a brother like him, that was pretty much a pipe dream. Back at the temple, Kaido is taking on the whole ninja squad. One of them manages to snag his arm with a chain, while two others ambush him from behind with their swords. The enemy leader keeps hyping up how impressive the kid is, but Kaido just grabs the chains tight and flips the script, using them to thrash the ninjas. The long-haired leader tries to wrap his head around what kind of technique he's witnessing, ordering even more ninjas to use their cultivation arts against Kaido. Kaido just scoffs, saying he'll wipe them all out in a single hit. He unleashes the supernatural dragon technique. Using the chains, he literally whips up a massive tornado. The long-haired guy is absolutely floored. His opponent just wiped out his entire crew in the blink of an eye. Now, the long-haired guy is dead certain this is Kaido, the former leader of the Heavenly Demon sect. When Kaido asks if he's just going to stand there, the guy says absolutely not. Drawing his swords, he asks if Kaido has reached his former level yet. "Hey, long hair," Kaido shoots back. "The way you're talking, it sounds like we've met before. Hate to break it to you, but you're going down. And the worst part, I don't even remember who you are. I fought way too many people in my past life." The long-haired guy lunges, growling that if Kaido keeps running his mouth, he's going to get taken out. Kaido just pities anyone actually delusional enough to think they can beat him. Right around then, Nina finally tracks her brother down to the temple. She's a bit thrown off when she gets there. It's an ancient Japanese temple after all, and wonders what on earth her idiot brother is up to this time. He's nothing but a magnet for trouble. Honestly, she half hopes he's already dead, just so she could get some peace and quiet. The place is dead silent, though. Then, it hits her. Someone is using magic to warp time and space. Out of nowhere, a massive guy looms up behind her, booming that she isn't allowed to enter. He readies an attack. In a split second, Nina realizes she let her guard down. She takes a direct hit and gets sent flying. She manages to block the worst of it using her ice magic, but the impact is still brutal. She curses the guy out, calling him a total coward for cheap-shotting her from behind. Chanting a spell, she vows she won't let him get away with it and hurls a barrage of ice crystals at him. "You totally ruined my school trip, and I am never forgiving you for that," she snaps. She adds that she's not letting her little brother's mess slide either, considering he's a constant roadblock in her life. The poor girl just wants to live a chill, stress-free life. The crystals slam into the giant warrior, freezing him solid. But the guy just flexes his insane physical strength to shatter the ice. She stares, wondering if he's really that jacked. And yep, he's a beast. He busts through all her crystals. The dude looks completely unhinged, but she doesn't back down, blasting him with more crystals. She freezes his legs to the ground, smirking that he's not going anywhere now. Prepping another spell in her hand, she says she's going to stop him dead in his tracks. and unleashes the freezing impact technique. A brutal blast of ice surges toward the fighter, freezing his body over again until the blast hits him square in the face. She figures that's definitely enough to put him down for good, but when the dust settles, the guy is still standing. She's stunned. How is that even possible? It's like her magic didn't even faze him. Breaking the silence, he charges at her again. She grumbles that meatheads always have the toughest bodies. He looks like a straight-up, wild animal, and right before he goes in for the kill, she leaps backward. He keeps repeating like a broken record that there's an intruder in the sky who needs to be eliminated, then rushes her again. She quickly casts magic circles and fires off a volley of razor-sharp crystals, hoping it'll be enough to stop him. Spoiler alert. It doesn't work. Let's see how much this guy can tank. She throws out more freezing spells, but nothing's sticking, and he keeps closing the gap. With a furious look on her face, she screams, asking if he's completely out of his mind. He finally manages to get right on top of her. Just as he's about to strike a lethal blow, she casually reaches out, taps his hand, and stops him cold. The guy freezes mid-air for the third time, only this time he's suspended off the ground. "It's pretty freezing around here," she quips. "The second you hit the ground, you're going to shatter into 1,000 pieces." She casually mentions that a move like this is perfect for stubborn meatheads like him. Turning her back on him, she sighs and says she needs to get back to hunting down her brother. And that's exactly how it plays out. The moment the giant hits the floor, he shatters like glass. Cutting back to Kaido, he's still going toe-to-toe with the long-haired guy. The dude is seriously strong and taunts Kaido, saying his skills aren't what they used to be. Kaido shoots back that he hasn't even tapped into 30% of his original power yet, activating a glowing purple aura on his sword. The guy claims that's exactly why he's going to lose, bragging that he's fully reclaimed 100% of his own past power, which is why the fight is dragging out. Kaido realizes he has to dodge the guy's daggers. One clean hit could be fatal. The long-haired guy is shocked when Kaido flawlessly dodges a dagger strike while throwing full power punches. The guy manages to land a hit, thinking he had him, catching Kaido right in the face and sending him flying. Still, Kaido plants his feet hard into the dirt and absorbs the impact. Kaido just mocks him, saying his strikes are fast, so Longhair isn't getting away. Spitting up blood, the guy tries to process what just happened. It looked like the attack missed, but it was a direct hit. Smiling grimly, he admits the heavenly demon is just too overpowered. He's completely outmatched. Suddenly, Kaido recognizes the enemy's move, the Blood Shadow step. Multiple illusions of the guy pop up, and the clones start hurling daggers everywhere. As the blades fly toward him, Kaido gets serious and says he remembers that technique perfectly. He parries a sword strike and says he's not falling for cheap parlor tricks. But the long-haired guy thinks he's found an opening. At the last second, Kaido just catches the guy's fist. The dude tries to swing with his free hand, thinking he's got him cornered. But Kaido finally remembers exactly who this guy is. He tells him he hasn't changed one bit, still just as arrogant as ever. As the long-haired guy winds up for an attack, Kaido's eyes flare up. He declares he's going to show him his true strength. Kaido unleashes his dark energy, and it's so overwhelmingly heavy that the guy is instantly paralyzed. The dark aura floods through his body, making him groan in agony. Still, the guy refuses to quit. Gripping his dagger tight, he vows to end the fight and swears he's going to stab Kaido right in the back. Kaido just shakes his head, saying his stubbornness is almost commendable. Suddenly, Kaido teleports right behind him and whispers that the fight is already over. Covered in brutal injuries, the long-haired guy collapses, completely helpless. "Yeah, Aken. Looks like it's game over for you." The long-haired guy's name was Aken. He was one of the best assassins from the Northern Pavilion and had tried to take out the MC multiple times. After so many failed attempts, Aken said he was going to drop the mission, but Kaido told him to hold up. Kaido recognized his skills and even told him he had a bright future ahead of him. After that, Aken dropped his dagger, and Kaido took him in as his disciple. Over time, Aken grew into a highly respected and loyal soldier. Because of this, Kaido started trusting him with even more important tasks, and Aken racked up a ton of achievements. Eventually, though, Aken was killed in action during a mission. When he reincarnated, he figured that maybe if he took down Kaido, he could win his honor back. But pulling that off was straight up impossible for him. Kaido asks what he plans to do now, and Aken replies that he is going to dedicate his life to him. The MC stays quiet for a bit, but finally agrees to take him back as his disciple, adding that he'll try to understand his comrade better this time around. Taking a deep breath, the MC mentions how great the air is and asks if Aiken was running things around here. Aiken says no, explaining that the area is actually controlled by a faction of reincarnators. He adds that the group goes by Phantom Sword, and they are a seriously powerful crew. The leader of the place was a guy named Shion, who used to lead the 72 bandit fortresses in the forest back in the day. Kaido asks if Shion seriously reincarnated into this world too, and where he's hiding out. Aiken tells him that the fortress Shion lives in isn't too far away. Hearing this, Kaido immediately announces he's going to head right over and finish the guy off. When Aiken blurts out that it's impossible, Kaido turns around annoyed and asks if his disciple is messing with him. "No, master, I'm not messing with you. It's just that he's got a lot of heavy hitters backing him up," Aiken explains. "Long before you reincarnated on this earth, other reincarnators had already arrived. They spread out all over the world and built up some major forces." Aiken even admits that if he hadn't run into Kaido, he'd have zero hope of ever leaving the Phantom Sword group. He makes it clear that he knows exactly how powerful his master is, but even so, going up against that whole faction alone would be way too dangerous. Bowing down, he begs Master Kaido to wait a bit longer and gather more power because attacking Phantom Sword right now would be jumping the gun. The MC just laughs and says Aiken is acting as weird as ever. Right at that moment, Nina calls out to her brother, demanding to know what he's doing in a place like this. Instantly, the MC realizes he's in deep trouble. Man, the girl was furious. She said she just wanted to live a quiet life, but he couldn't stop stirring up trouble. "Wait, Nina, what happened to your clothes? Are you hurt? What's going on?" Kaido asks. Aiken asks who she is, and Kaido keeps brushing it off, saying she's nobody important, which only ticks Nina off even more. She snaps that he's always causing problems and says she's ditching her ring too, since she's completely done helping him. Tossing the ring aside, she announces she's heading back to the hotel to change her clothes. She opens up a portal and tells him to hurry up and come with her. Then, using her ice magic, she freezes Aiken solid. Kaido gets upset, pointing out that the guy was his comrade in the past. Hopping into the portal, Nina just remarks that Aiken is lucky she only froze him, because what she really wanted was to finish him off. Kaido keeps complaining about how tough his sister's temper is, but he knows better than to argue with her too much. With that, he jumps into the portal to follow her. Dragging his frozen buddy along for the ride,